2. All right. Hello, everybody. I know we've been really quiet in here lately. We've been building and doing business and all the things, right? So it's easy for me to be quiet at the moment. But we're going to bring lots of really great content back to you. And our first thing of this whole year is to actually bring Jeremy to you. So say hi, Jeremy, really quickly.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jeremy Herman. I've been in the industry for 20 years. I'm a real estate coach by trade, which has led me to ultimately become the CEO and co-founder of Clarity Now. We're super excited to be here with you guys. Looking forward to showing you the product. And Lindsay, thank you for having us and being a
Yeah.
supporter of us.
We love it. Well, we're the systems and processes people, right? And that's we genuinely, want to bring the best things. And so, just really quickly for anybody watching here, one, I know I already have people watching. You can comment on that thread or you can message me behind the scenes and I'm happy to ask questions. We will demo the product today.
Yep.
You will get a price you will get a good price just by being here and through Ciprani Consulting, which I'm pumped about. So stick around so you can see that. And we'll have our own landing page because Jeremy's awesome. And so really quickly, what I love about this product is I've been on CTE myself for my own business, and have put many teams on CTE. So that if you don't know what that is, that's basically a spreadsheet on crack that shows you where you are and in business and how many more units you need to hit your goal and yada, yada.
Yep.
Then we switched in my own business to Sisu for transparency around numbers. And I think we were a Sisu user, and Sean will have to tell me, but like probably 5 years, maybe even more. And then I saw Clarity Now, which I feel like is like this just giant secret out there that some people know about and not enough know about. And I was like, whoa, this is there's so much clarity in the numbers here, which is why I love it. It's called Clarity Now. So I saw the product and I was like wowed. But Jeremy, tell them really quickly the quick backstory on why you created this, because you're a coach and
Yeah.
you needed better numbers, right?
Thank you. That's honestly, that's where it came from. So I first became a coach about 5 years ago, and I largely coach mainly people like your community. I coach rainmakers and large teams. And as a coach, I believe that numbers are critical in business. I mean, numbers show your habits. Numbers tell a story, and if you don't know what the story is saying, you don't know how to adjust it, right? So as a coach, I need to know my clients' numbers, and I found, and unfortunately, and I don't blame the agents, truly, I really don't. But most agents, I trust everyone watching this, that you guys are great at your job of selling real estate or the operations back end, right? But there's a difference between selling real estate and being a great business owner. And I ended up creating a big old spreadsheet that did all the tracking that I needed to see so I could have better insights to coach. And I got fortunate that one of my good friends is a software engineer, and we've spent over 4 years now turning my spreadsheet into software and what is now Clarity Now. But can I ask you a question really quick, Lindsay?
Yeah.
So I was a CTE user for years too. I think CTE is a great product. I think CSU is a great product. So this is nothing about negative about either of those. But I'm curious, why did you switch from CTE to CSU?
Yeah, because I felt like because it was an online product and I knew that they were going to be developing even more, some transaction management, things of that nature. That was the big push for that. And I liked the dashboard a little bit more. Like I liked the way it looked like when you sign on with your app on the phone. I just enjoyed that piece. And a lot of people were pushing Sisu, right? So it was like, okay, maybe and it seemed easier. Now, I will tell you though, there was missing data for me. So like CTE gave us more and it allowed us to do more, which is why I like your product, because you can easily have ISAs and other team members that you're mapping out there. And I think that's the other products where you couldn't do that as well.
Yeah,
Fair?
I appreciate that. That's what I found too. It's CSU for the longest time was the only software option
Yeah.
for tracking your numbers. So it's if we think about our competitors, CTE and CSU certainly be one of them. But our biggest competitor, frankly, is getting people out of spreadsheets and into
Yeah.
something more user friendly that is a better product for teaching their business and doing business planning. So again, I'm looking forward to it and thank you for it. And we're really excited too. I think that software shouldn't be as expensive as it is, especially
Right.
in real estate. It shouldn't be that big of a line item. So one of the things that we're passionate about is to help as many agents as possible. So with Clarity Now, we're coming in at a very, very, very affordable price that we're excited to show you guys that hopefully people take advantage of.
Yes, yes, which is so awesome. All right. Well, let's dive in and look at it because we've got a number of people here. And, it's funny. One of the things that I love, like I've got Mike Monge here and some fun, and Calvin's here, which is fun. We've got people that like, they know their numbers loosely, but really when you push them on it, right? When you're coaching them to the numbers, they really struggle. And so again, that's why I love that it's called Clarity Now too, because I do think it brings clarity. So let's dive in. I'm going to make you share
Yeah,
and
I'll
just show us this product and how easy it is to use. That's another thing too, Jeremy. I would say, I do think setting up CC, like, I think setting up some of those other things seemed way harder than yours. So I
think
think that's like
it's
really
it's
key too.
incredibly difficult, truly, to build software that is simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very easy to make it complicated and muddy. And that's actually one of the main feedback we get is the simplicity of it and how easy it is to navigate. So let me share my screen and show you guys.
Awesome.
And I'll start. This is Clarity Now. And this is the dashboard. So hopefully you guys agree it's clean and simple and easy to use. And we'll go through it together. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I love to start off with Clarity Now and really with business planning and running a real estate business in general is goal setting. I find, I'm going to get on my soapbox a touch here for a second, but I find that most business agents, most real estate agents, if I ask what their goal is, they're going to respond with a unit goal or a volume goal or maybe a GCI goal, right? And especially large teams, which I get that because it's kind of what it's a scoreboard we all use against each other, and it's the metrics within how we're ranked. So I understand the reasoning on it. The challenge is almost nobody sets their goal with profit being the very first indicator.
Yeah.
So I see this all the time as a coach with rainmakers. As I'll say, "What's your goal?" And they'll say it's to do 70 million. And I say, "Great! If you do 70 million, did you win?" And they'll go, "Hell yeah!" I say, "Okay, you do 70 million, but you only netted 120 grand. Did you win?" And they're like, "Well, no." So it's not so much about the volume, it's really about the net. So I think as a coach, we really should be pushing net first. So I'll show you guys this. This is our economic model. You won't see another economic model like this in any platform. And again, this is because it's built by a coach, right? So it works for every single real estate agent in the industry. So I'm a rainmaker, I own a team, I have additional salespeople. I'm on a team, which frankly, Lindsay, I love that status. I find a lot of team members, they kind of get the short end of the stick when it comes to tech. And that's not right. Or I'm an individual agent and I put no additional salespeople because I don't want people to have an admin and call themselves a team and a setup. So I'm an individual agent. I may have staff, but I'm the only salesperson. For your audience, you guys are mainly rainmakers. Go ahead.
And notice the little walk me through this piece. Again, just a very easy, wonderful system. So I just want to point some of
Thank
this
you. Thank you. We spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I'm a rainmaker. First question is, what do you want to net? As always, that should be the first question. I'm going to say $500,000.
Great. Wouldn't we all love that, everybody?
I think it's a good number.
Yeah.
Average sales price, let's make this 350.
Great.
Or 345, 350. And then average commission percentage. I'm going to put 2.9%. Okay, so the average commission is 10,150. Excuse me. I apologize in advance. I've had a cough for like a month and a half. I trust that a lot of people out there are the same. It's been my kids are all coughing. It's nuts. All right. Next is the listing conversion. So what percentage of your listing appointments that you go on will get signed? I'll put 80%. And what percentage of those will actually close? Let's call it 90. And what percentage of your business actually comes from listings, right? So listing based versus buyer based. I'm going to put 45. I'm going to say I'm a little more buyer heavy. That's most teams. The goal is to get you to 60% listing based, but most are really 40% listing, 60% buyers. Okay. Buyer conversion metrics. I'll just leave those there. Next, on average, how much do you intend to spend per month on your business? Okay. Now, note, this is one thing that's really important and one thing that separates us too. In business planning, we also have a budget model and a lead gen model, right? So one of the claims that we make is that we're the #1 business planning and the #1 financial tool in real estate software. The business planning for sure can't be challenged. I mean, we're by far the best on that. So
Yes, I'm really quickly just going to interject that I just got a message behind the scenes. Yes, we have pushed him to do this for small businesses too, because we're hiring for so many small
Oh my
businesses
goodness.
now. And we have told Jeremy, like, hey, if you could do this for small business in general, that would be really wonderful. So yes.
So I appreciate that. That is my number. I mean, I don't want to say number one, but I would love nothing more than to transition this. I actually coach a handful of businesses that are not in real estate, and I have them in Clarity now. We just kind of make it work. So frankly, I can learn how to adjust it for small businesses later. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say I spend 50,000 a month, approximately 600 a year. Now, this question is important. This is what makes us broker agnostics. We have customers from all companies, right? So is there a maximum amount you pay your broker per year? Either no, what percentage goes to your broker, or yes, what is the maximum amount that goes to your broker? So if you have a cap, what's your cap? I'll use this one. Let's say I have a $20,000 cap. Does your company also have a franchise fee? Yes, let's say it's $3,000. And again, we're all brokerages, so it works for everybody. Okay, this is really important, and this is what makes this so special, especially on the Rainmaker side. Okay, so I'll slow down for a second on this. I selected I own a team.
You know what, Jeremy, really quickly, and the last page too, if you say no to those things, if you're on like a fee model, you can do all of that here. It's very intuitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good question. Or good
Good.
point. Okay, I selected I own a team, right? So the question here is how many listings and how many buyers am I personally going to do? So what that means, what the real question is how many sales is there going to be no split paid on? Because that completely changes the economics of the business. If a rainmaker is doing 80% of the team production, or if they're out of production, and it's based on net, that's going to totally change the units required, right?
Yep.
So if you're a rainmaker that actually does charge yourself a split, and there's technically a split paid in every sale, then you're going to put 0 and 0. Most people, the revenue goes to the company. They're not paying themselves splits, right? So let's say in this case, I'm down to sell 36 listings, and I'll probably sell 5 buyers to my friends. As a rainmaker, sign me up for 41 sales, but the rest has to come from the team.
Yeah.
Okay. In which case, let's say I have a 40% split to my team on listing sales and 50 on buyer sales, making that up.
And I have brokerage people too. You could, I would say we can run a brokerage on this as well.
Oh my goodness. I've recently started talking to some brokers. I think this exact same model works.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for a broker.
Yeah.
Right. How much do you want to net as a brokerage? What are your expenses? Whether, you know, what's your capping system? It's the exact same.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it, which we're launching, so brokers definitely reach out to me. This is not publicly available yet, but we can make it work on the back end. Is we're coming up with some enterprise pricing. So a broker can pay for it for the company and then divvy out individual accounts to their agents. So if you're interested in that, let me know and we'll discuss that. Do you have an ISA department? Yes or no? How many referral fees do you think you'll pay out? What percentage do you think you'll pay out on average? Do you have a transaction fee to an admin on each closed listing sale and on each closed buyer sale? Now, this is kind of poorly worded. We should change this. What this is really saying is there any per transaction fee?
Yep.
Right. So it could be a TC. It could be, your office charges $50 per file, no matter what. Right. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say that we pay, $250 for every transaction on the listing side and maybe $150 on the buy side, making that up.
Yeah.
This last one is also a missed cost of sale that a lot of teams forget. It's basically the bucket for the entire year. How much do you want to put aside for you negotiating your commission at the very end of a deal to make a deal close? So the example is, guys, don't freak out. I'll just pay for a home warranty, just close, right?
Yeah.
Or I'll pay for the washer just to get fixed, just freaking close, right?
Yeah.
Some people will say 0, I never do that. And some people will say, well, 10 grand, I do that all the time.
Yes. Most of us do it all the time.
Yes. So whatever you think you want to put in that total bucket, put it here.
Yep.
Seasonality, the system is automatically going to be set for 20, 30, 30, and 20% of your business happening per quarter, but you can certainly adjust it. Hit submit. And now what we just did together here is if I want to net $500,000, it's going to be 63 million bucks. Yep. 1.8 million in GCI, 180 units. It's going to be 81 listing sales and 99 buyer sales. As the rainmaker, remember, I signed up for 36 listings and 5 buyers. Therefore, the math is technically I need 45 sales from my team for listings and 94 sales from my team for buyers. So now I know what I need to go recruit to. My team needs to, all my agents need to effectively do, 139 sales. So it makes recruiting and forecasting tremendously easier.
And I can't tell you how many times I've sat in, even just in Keller Williams, I've sat in so many classes, and we know the main person who teaches these, but where I had paper and I was like trying to navigate all the numbers, and I was like, oh, it'd be so fun to just plug it in and have this.
Yeah.
They should do that in that class. Yeah.
Well, you know what the problem is too, and again, this is, I'm probably a little biased on this, but not only is that kind of an archaic way of building a business plan, and you're never going to find that piece of paper ever again throughout the year. The most important part is, unless you're an individual agent, but if you have a team and you have splits, the math is also wrong.
Yes.
It's just wrong. So not only is it a poorly done exercise, it's also not accurate. And it's not accurate because it's not factoring how many sales are you going to do, what are the splits, referral fees, admin bonus, all that stuff that we just did. That's not in that piece of paper in those 4 questions. It's a GCI calculator, not a profit calculator.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So in this, it says I'm going to have a $731,000 cost of sale. My cap, my royalty, my agent compensation. So I know my team's going to make somewhere around $650,000 in total comp. My admin bonuses, etc. I'll have $1.1 million in gross profit. I'm going to spend $600 on the business. That gets me back to my $500 net. I'll be 27% profitable. And here's the appointments that we have to go on to hit the goal. So first things first, every single agent in the country can now build a business plan based on net in software that's accurate in only a couple of steps and a couple of minutes. And the cool part is when you do this, if I were a rainmaker and I'm like, holy smokes, 180 units, and I need to have 140 sales coming from the team, I don't know if I can do that. Well, you have one of 2 options. Either one, can we lower your expenses?
Yep.
Or 2, the reality is we got to change your profit goal. So what's it look like at $400,000? What's it look, or the opposite's true? I think I can crush that. Great.
Yep.
Increase that profit, baby. Let's see what needs to happen now.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you can see on the right so clearly and so easily, like the quarterly listing goals, and the fact that we know that like the seasonality of our business, like you can see all of that there. Like, I just feel like, I mean, there's so many things here. The cool thing is, yes, you get to, I have another one behind the scenes. You guys can totally ask questions like in there too, and I'll ask them. But yes, feel free to still private message me because I'm looking at those too. But we're gonna get here. I think Jeremy's gonna move us to the budget model. But like, yes, if you've got admin and ISAs with salaries and things, we can bring more clarity around some of that.
You want me to show that really fast? I wasn't going to go deep into that, but I'll show that really quick.
Yep.
So this is a demo account. I'm probably going to switch a couple different accounts up to a real account that has some better data in it too. But so for example, this is for year 2024, which by the way, you can build out next year's economic model too in years in advance. So if I want to know by 2027, I want to net $500,000, but be out of production, just go build it now. So now you know what you got to build towards.
Amen.
But I said I was going to spend $600,000 in expenses for year 2024, right? So if I go to my budget model, the math carried over, $600,000, 32% in expenses. And then now all you got to do is type in what are your expenses going to be? What do you forecast, right? So how much you're going to spend in compensation, lead gen, occupancy. I encourage you to go really deep with it. I think we have an example for 23.
Oh, that's awesome.
Here we go. So for example, lead generation, Facebook ads, $50 a month, $600 a year. Closing gifts, spend $6,600 on that. Business cards, payroll taxes, team pictures, etc. So add everything in, all your database, your compensation, your lead gen, your listing photography, your staging, your rent, your tech. Type everything in for the entire year. And then down below, it tells you how much are you spending per category, what percentage of your total GCI is being allocated towards that category. And then when you're done with it, you look at the bottom and you're like, obviously this is a made up example here, but you look at this number in correlation to your actual budget and you're like, all right, well, maybe my expenses aren't going to be as high and I can go back and tweak my economic model, which is going to bring the units down. Or the opposite. Crap, I'm spending way more than I thought I was going to. Let me go tweak the economic model to see how the units got to go up to still net the same.
Which I think, I mean, let's just be honest. If we take 2 seconds and think about like what a lot of people went through last year, if they had some of this and were able to look at it with this much clarity regularly, like I do think a lot of us could have made adjustments
Yes.
quicker and been able to like figure some of this out. I love that we're able to do this stuff. And I would say anybody who's working with us, like we would push you to get really deep on this because you know, and really go back through the last couple of years, just spend that time for a little bit as you set up, because it will help you so much. If you look at, you know, last year, which was probably a bad year for a lot of people, some of us had our best years and that, man, you guys are amazing, right? But like, if you take one of those years or go back to 2019 even, and just go, okay, this was where I was at, and you plug those in, it'll give you a good starting place on,
Right.
you know, what you need it to look like. Yeah.
One thing we can do also for customers that sign up, we have a concierge service. I think we only charge 149 for it, where we'll actually upload all of last year's data for you.
That's great.
So now when you go to reporting, I can actually analyze last year's numbers to have a better insight into what this year needs to be. You also can just type in each form if you choose to also, but we can upload it for you. And we didn't even get to the P&L yet. This is just the business planning. I say in coaching, you can have a dream, you can have a goal, or you can have a plan.
Yeah.
Right. So if we want to have a business that nets $500,000 a year, but yet we want to skip the step of creating the plan, that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Right. So take the time to go deeper on this.
Yep.
The next thing I want to show you quick, and then I'm going to switch accounts, is team functionality. And then I want to switch to a different account so you guys can see a little different viewpoint. We have a lot of teams here, a lot of operations people. So one thing I'll show you really quick is we have team members and we have team users. So members is really anyone who can receive compensation. So for the example on that, when you go to transactions and we're typing in the transactions into the system, which we have, you know, we're about to launch an integration with Follow Up Boss, which would be awesome. And 2024 is a bunch more integrations to come. When I'm down here in cost of sale and I'm saying, whose sale is this? Right. And add compensation. So Fiona is making 30% and, you know, Larry is making 5% and maybe Gary makes a flat rate of $350. This drop down is all of your team members. Right. So one thing that people do is a lot of people, they put like their showing assistants in here. Well, that's a bad example. They'll put like their runner or maybe their listing coordinator. You don't need to put your whole team, just anyone who could receive a split, right? So if they receive compensation, put them there. But the magic really is in the users. So the way we have our users built out is you can invite Liam, an agent on my team, or say Fiona, to have in her own agent portal and hit invite. So now Fiona is going to get her own login that's attached to the Rainmaker account, where she now can create an economic model saying, I'm on a team and I want to net 100 grand and here are my splits for the team. So now what units does she need to do? You also can add new users, type in like your admin's name and email and make them an editor and call them my admin. So now my admin has their very own login to edit the transaction, or you can give viewer access to maybe your coach. And now your coach has all the data that they need, right? We do not charge for editors or for viewers. We only charge for agents. So you can have as many editors or viewers as you want, and there's no cost to that. We only charge on agent seats, and it's only $5 per seat right now, so it's not expensive.
Well, and of course, created by a coach. So guess what, everybody? Like when you're sitting down with your agent, if you've got a team or like, gosh, if you're EXP and you've got a bunch of people, like I would 100% just put all of my downline, like everybody I'm working with in here so that I can go in and we can have like real business conversations with every person, right? I just think that that would be huge for people, but you can sit down with any agent and coach them to the number and it's just real time, you know?
Let me show you that. Let me show you how that works. So again, this is a demo account here, but let's say I'm Liam, I'm the Rainmaker. I'm in my account, right? And I gave agents access to their own portal. I go to my observatory. I click on my observatory and here's all the agents on my team. So if it's time to do my one-on-one with Beth, I just click in and you can see I'm now inside of Beth's portal. And I can go to Beth's economic model where she said she wanted to net whatever, right? For her 2023 as an example, she wanted to net 150. It had to be 40 units, right? I can go to her goal gap, which I'll show you that in a moment. I could check her lead generation. I could check her pipeline. One thing that your operations team is going to love is the way that we do transactions and listings is agents as an agent on a team cannot type in their own listings and transactions because they'll basically always screw it up.
Yeah.
Right? When it comes to like all the splits and the income.
Yeah.
So the way this works is when the rainmaker types in a transaction and they label an agent as receiving compensation, that's what makes a transaction funnel out to that agent's portal.
Yep.
So only thing agents need to do is they need to create their plan. They could do their daily tracking, their lead gen, and they could do their pipeline. And that's really the only entry they need to do. Everything else funnels out to their account.
Yeah. Love it.
Let me show you a different, another feature that I love. I'm going to show you the two other things I really want to show you guys, and I can open up for any questions that you have. I'm going to log into my coach account. And so when I sign in, I go to my observatory. Here's all the people that have given me access to view their portals. Okay. So note that Fred's a client of mine and he's a great person and he never minds if I share his stuff. So just disclosing that quick. Okay. So I'm inside of a real agent's account right now. Okay.
Yep.
Their goal is 138 units. They have 10 active listings, 14 pending, 2 closed, 16 pending and closed combined, etc. One feature that I haven't shown you guys that is absolutely massive is our goal gap. And you won't find this in any other platform. And it's because I'm a coach. The way this works is we have what's called business information, where it's custom for every account. So what is your average contract to close length? What is your ramp up period, which is listing agreement signed to day 1 on the market? How long does that take you? And then what is your average days on market? What the system does is it adds those dates up and it creates a goal gap for you. So for example, I'm in Fred's account. The system knows that Fred has 19 days left to sell for properties that can close in Q1.
Yep.
Because he has a 41-day contract to close. And today is what, February 1st. Yep. So he's got 19 more days to sell plus 41 days of contract to close for it to close by March 31st. Right? Now, what's interesting, and people get this wrong all the time, which is why, why we built it this way, is this is going to sound funny for some. But there's 2 different calendar years you have to pay attention to as an owner of a business. One is January through December, the year we all know, right? The second is your listings taken year. I call it your activities year. The 12 months that you can take listings that actually closes in the calendar year, right? So for example, because in Fred's, he's got 3 days to make it go live, 30 days before it sells, and 41 days to close. Based on his data, his last day to take a listing that can close in 2024 is really October 17th, 2024. Right? Yeah. So he has 78 days left to take listings that can close in Q2. Based on the data, he can no longer take a listing that will close this year unless it goes faster than his averages. Right? So if I look at this, the economic model tells me that his goal in Q2 is to take 22 listings. And so far in his Q2 calendar year, he's taken 4. He's still in Q1 for sales. His goal is to sell 27 for $5 million. Right now in the system, he's at 15 for 2.9 for Q1. Down below, gap to hit quarterly goals. His goal is 22, done 4s, gap 18. He still needs to sell 12 houses for $2.1 million in volume. That's the gap, right? He's got 78 days up to take listings. 19 days left to sell. So the system does the math for you. This is what you got to do every day to stay on track. This number times 7, if I'm coaching Fred, or if I'm doing a team meeting, or if I'm doing a one-on-one, I'm going right to this bottom right corner. This is the goal right here. And I say, Fred, this week we got to sign 2, sell 5 for $800,000. Sign 2, sell 5 for $800,000. This is what we need to do in the next 7 days to stay on track to hit the goal. So the kind of awareness that this does, the clarity that this brings in helping people run their team and level up as leaders and as director of sales, holy smokes, for a director of sales, now they can do every one-on-one and go to the bottom right corner and help keep their people on track. Is there any thoughts or comments or questions on your end on the goal gap? I think it's a really important feature.
There's not yet, but if you guys have any, just put them in here. I know we have people watching here. And well, I would say, obviously, you can go in and change things too. And then it carries over, right? The gap starts to carry over like, hey, you didn't hit. So well, now we got to do this. Yeah.
Yep. So for example, let's say that Fred's not going to sell 12 more homes in the next
Come
19
on,
days.
Fred. We're all rooting for you,
Fred.
man.
Fred, by the way, he always hits his goal. This is killing him. So you
Yeah.
guys know.
Yeah. It's awesome.
He's a producer. But let's say that he ends up at 20 sales. Okay. The economic model, remember the one that we created? His says that 20% of his business will come in Q1. So
Yeah.
what he would do is he would go back in the economic model and adjust the seasonality down for Q1,
Yeah.
add some points to Q2 or Q3, and then go check out the goal gap until basically Q1 equaled reality. And it's going to put more weight on the other quarters. So now we can stay on track. So you actually can adjust your goals throughout the year to make sure we hit the annual goal.
Yeah. Cool. No questions still. I think you're explaining it pretty well.
Okay, cool. You want to kind of show you the financial parts of this?
Yes, please.
Okay. So this is really important. Our other claim that I mentioned is that we're the #1 financial tool in real estate.
Yes.
So the way this works is, if I just want to see his pendings as an example, he's got 14 pendings for 2.7 million, that much GCI, that much gross profit. Okay. Gross profit is what matters. This is not his money. This is his money. The difference is what goes to agents or your brokerage or whoever, right? So I really don't care about this. I care about that.
Right.
And the way that you can see this is if you look over here, you have the commission and you have the gross profit. So here's an example, right? The commission's 35.25, the gross profit's 22.65. If I want to know why, click on cost of sale details. Got it. He's still paying his cap and his franchise fee, right? So what one report does, I want to show you guys, I think is arguably the most important report in the whole system. I'll say that again. I think it's the most important report in the whole system. I look at it every coaching call. Is it takes the gross profit and the month of the projected close date. Okay, you see right there. What it does is in reports in a CEO summary. This first one just is a summary of the business per month, but this projected net profits report, it's critical. Okay, projected net profits. It tells me that he currently has nothing closed yet in February because it's February 1st, and he's got $27,000 pending for February. Therefore, his total gross profit for February is $27,000. In his economic model, he estimated he'd spend around $12,000 per month on the business. Therefore, I know that we have an estimated net profit of netting somewhere around 15 grand in February. We're making about $1,300 in March, and right now we're losing $6,800 in April. This column right here, guys, this is the windshield of your cash flow when you can still change it. So every coaching call, I'm looking at your next, 30, 60, 90-day cash flow in correlation with your goal gap in this bottom right corner. And those two things alone tell me if we have the right to talk about anything else other than production this week with my team.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into the weeds into stuff that doesn't matter if we're behind. If we're ahead and we like the profit and the weekly goal gap seems super attainable, hey, what you guys want to discuss?
Right.
Right. But if we're behind, everything else is a distraction.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. And right. That's forecasting, and it's allowing you to look ahead and go, all right, like, am I putting money into this business again? Or am I making changes? Am I cutting? Like, you just, again, that's why I like that it's called Clarity Now, because it really does allow you to, like, it's like the best name ever, but this tool allows you to make real-time adjustments, and you're just going to run a business better, because most of us are in the dark around this. And the spreadsheets, right? Like the spreadsheets that we're all on, like they just don't make it as easy as this, as long as everything's in there. Like, one of my biggest things, honestly, Jeremy, is like when my coach, we coach with the Zubers, but when they're like asking me all these numbers and I'm like looking at my spreadsheets, I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm like, I know it. I'll find it for next week.
I forgot
Right?
how to sort. You're trying to add stuff up quick in your head. Yeah, it's not a useful tool.
No. So, to be able to just go in here or give them access so they can see everything, it's like huge for me. I love it.
Yeah, good. I love that. I love that. All right. I want to show you the next thing.
Cool.
So, because, for example, when you fill out transactions, we know the income, right? The system knows that the commission's $79.50.
Yep.
And we know your full cost of sale, who's getting paid what you're paying your cap, what you're paying your franchise fee. If you have any additional cost of sale you need to put in here, we know your cost of sale, we know your income, right? So because of those two things, the next step is, well, how do we create this and actually give every single agent a profit and loss?
Yep.
if I were to sit in a room with 200 agents and I would say, raise your hand if you know that you should have a profit and loss, we'd have 200 hands raised, right? And if I said, raise your hand if you have a profit and loss, and maybe a third or a quarter of the hands would go up. And then I would say, raise your hand if your profit and loss is actually based on a real estate P&L with the categories, and even fewer hands would come up. And then I would say, raise your hand if you receive your P&L within, a week of the month being closed, and almost no hands would go up because they received them a month later, right?
Yep.
From their bookkeeper or whoever. So with Clarity Now, we created a P&L, and it's awesome.
By the way, if you were to ask, the team members of the teams, how many of you guys have a P&L and are able to look at that stuff?
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, because they have their own account, each agent has their own P&L.
Yep.
It's so cool because now you're teaching them how to be a business owner,
Huge.
not just a realtor.
Yes.
Yes. Not that there's
I
anything
also
wrong.
believe that shows value, by the way. So like if you're on a team that has Clarity Now and you can do those things with your team, like I feel like that helps you keep team members. I mean, could they go get it for themselves? Yeah. But I do think it really matters there. Like you're coaching to it and you're helping. The accountability conversations are so much easier here.
Of course. Yep. Okay, so two things. So one integration that we do have is with QuickBooks. So if you have QuickBooks, you can do an integration with QuickBooks and all of your expenses come over. And all you got to do is tell Clarity Now what category it goes into. If you don't have QuickBooks, you can hit new and fill out the form, right?
Yeah.
So the date, is this an expense or is it revenue? How much was it? Which P&L category did it go into? People ask all the time, hey, can we add a category? No, that's not how a real estate P&L works, right? So there's 9 categories. So pick the category that makes the most sense. Is this expense attached to a lead source, right? That's so we can create ROI reports, right? This is an important one. Excuse me. Some people get a little lost in the weeds of this. We won't do this today, but do you actually even want this expense in your P&L? Right.
Yeah.
So we talk about like above the line and below the line.
Yeah.
Right. There's some things that we want to keep track of for our accountant, but we're just going to call that a below the line thing.
Yeah.
So now I can keep track of it here for all of my expense details, but I don't actually want to show up in the P&L.
Yeah.
Right. And is this a recurring expense? So you don't need to type the same thing in every month. So type in it once. What this does is if I go to reports, to close and profit and loss, and you can see it's pretty quick here too. Every single agent now has a real-time profit and loss in Clarity Now. So I can see my listing income, my buyer income, my transaction fee income, and my total income. I can see everything broken down by month and for the year. And what I love is you can see everything by a dollar amount or by a percentage of your total income. Okay. Next.
So, quick question.
Yeah.
While you're right here. So if you've got QuickBooks and it runs reports for you, why bring it in here, Jeremy?
That's a good question. So for one, you don't have to, right? So I don't want to convince anyone to do anything that they don't see value in. But my answer would be typically one of two things. A lot of QuickBooks P&Ls, they start at the gross profit number.
Yep.
Right? They're not taking into account the cost of sale and the total GCI. And that's just a flawed P&L. It's not right.
By the way, lots of accountants will say, you don't need all of that.
Right, exactly. Because there's an account, they're used to an accounting P&L versus a real estate P&L.
Yeah.
They're totally different. In real estate, we say what percentage of total revenue went towards compensation, or what percentage of total revenue went towards lead generation. If we don't have the total revenue up top, we have no idea how to do that. We don't have the data. So for one, most people's P&Ls are wrong.
Yeah.
The second thing is a lot of P&Ls aren't actually in the right categories.
Right.
They're not labeled with 9 categories. It's not a true real estate P&L. And the third thing is this is just easier to use. So do what you choose, but that would be my answer.
Well, and then you've got, if you're running a team, right? You also, if we can bring in things with your team members and have everything in the whole business right there. In addition, you can look at in this one versus QuickBooks, you can look at like, okay, I, as a team leader, gave this many listings away or this many buyers away. And if I really need to make more money, maybe I take some of that back, or you can adjust again in just such a different way, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. It's an easier viewpoint too, versus looking at QuickBooks, looking over month over month, et cetera.
Love it.
Okay. So we have your cost of sale, agent compensation and who got paid what, your brokers, franchise fees, total cost sale, total gross profit, again, by dollar amount or by percentage. And then we have your how much you spent per category. Now, if I want to know how did I spend $14.54 in lead generation, click on overview and click on financial breakdown, click on lead generation, and here's all of your line items for lead generation for January. So you can go deep into, investigating every single line item if you choose. One thing I will point out, and we see this a lot, is the line items gonna be whatever you typed in. So some people, they type something in different every time. So you'll have just a crap ton of line items because you typed it in different each time. So I would just be thoughtful when you're typing in your expenses to try to like call it the same thing. So that way you can scroll across and, look at the same expense for the same line item.
Yeah.
So just be thoughtful of that. But you can do a deep dive into your compensation here, see the overview of the total P&L, and in about a month or so, maybe even sooner, there'll be another one that will be graphs and charts, so you can see a visual representation of your P&L to make it a little more visual.
Awesome.
So yeah, so between the business planning, the tracking, that's the last thing I didn't really go over. Any other questions on this quick before I show you tracking?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. The last part I'll show you guys, and then we can open up to any Q&A that anyone has, is our daily tracking. So this is the lead generation. Okay. This is the standard stuff that comes in the system, your hours, your dials, contacts, appointments set, appointments held. But we're all entrepreneurs and we like to do things unique and track our own stuff, and we have our own businesses, right? So people are always asking for, hey, can you add this? Hey, can you add that? So instead, we just gave you the ability to type new category and type in whatever the heck you want. So especially like on the operation side, for example, you could put in like customer care calls, or you could put in ask for a referral, or received a testimonial, received a review, literally whatever you want to track, doesn't matter. Yeah. Type it in. And then now when I go to new, all of my custom categories are down below. So today I did, 12 open house follow-up calls. Sorry, Fred, I'm going to pretend that I lead generated today. And then if I go to reports, I go to my lead gen and conversions. We have it broken down on the listing side of the business, where I can see my contacts to appointment set to held, held to taken, and taken to pended for every agent and collectively for the team. Yeah. The buy side, same thing. How many dials to contacts. And we give you the option to see it as a conversion percentage or as a ratio if you like that better. Because some things make more sense as a ratio than a conversion percentage.
Yep.
And all of your custom tracking sources are right here. So I can see that in the last 7 days, what did I do? I've done 12 open house follow-ups. So no matter what you want to track, you can track for any period of time. It's limitless. Whatever you want to do, you can do.
Yep. I love some Ron here too. I love that he's using the system, which is great. And this is one of the hardest things, I would say. But a lot of agents don't use the systems to track things. I think if we could just get them used to it, or if they just, quickly shoot a number to the admin team can fill it in. Man, yeah. To be able to see like the conversions and then the data just gets even better, right?
Well, it's telling you a story.
Yeah.
Like I said in the beginning, if I don't know the story, I don't know how to adjust it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really challenge agents on, and this may rub some people the wrong way, and that's okay. But if people say like, why should I track? Yeah. It's just not an argument I'm willing to have. Yeah. Then don't. Right? Yeah. If you don't, then don't. So if you're having to fight your team members on like why you should track, maybe go tell them why and explain why. But you either see the value in tracking and having the insights to be a better business owner, or you don't. Okay. Right? So those that do, they love us. The ones that don't, just don't use us. But then that's okay.
Yep. And we can still pull P&Ls and do some of that stuff with them and still talk about how much they need to do and look at the gap and all those things. So still exactly. Very, very useful if they don't use some of that stuff. Although I would challenge everybody to just use it, do your best to use it. You will have such a great year if you are tracking and doing the things that you need to do. So
my number one advice on that, by the way, is to if you have a team, which most of these people do in your community, have one person own Clarity Now. So have one person be an editor that just types in every listing, every transaction. They just own it. The one thing I check all the time, like on my wife's team, because we have someone who owns it, that always tells me if it's up to date, is if I go to transactions and I just want to look at my pendings, for example, yep. this projected close date right here. I never want to see a date that's behind us.
Mm.
Right now, this was yesterday, so I'll give them a benefit of the doubt. But if this had a bunch of closings that were supposed to close in December and January,
Yeah.
the data's not right, and now I can't trust anything.
Yeah.
The other thing is I'll check contract date, and I usually double click it so that most recent at the top, and I'll say, okay, cool. Are the most recent sales in here?
Yeah.
Right. So those are the two things I check to make sure that my operations team is owning it appropriately.
I love that. Awesome. Well, let's talk costs, because that
Yeah.
matters. We've kept a lot of people here. So you do get a nice discount by going through Ciprani, which is fun. So talk to us about that, Jeremy.
Yes, of course. I just put the link in the chat box. I don't know if that will come over to you. But what we did is, again, back to my initial point, I think that software is too expensive for most people. So if you go to our website, what you'll notice is we have two plans at the moment.
Yeah.
We have, excuse me one second. It's like my Wi-Fi is going slow. Come on. Okay. All right. We do have a free version, which I didn't mention. The free version, I would say, is for anyone doing less than 3 million in volume, which we love that. So if you're doing less than 3 million, get in software. If you're doing more than 3 million, you're going to want the reporting. We have a $79 a month plan and a $129 a month plan. The main difference is the 129 is going to be most of your community, which is conversion reports, agent production reports, custom lead tracking sources, like I mentioned, lead source reports, which we didn't go into, plus $5 per seat. So this is significantly cheaper than some of the competition. However, what I want to do with your community is to offer, and this is a landing page specifically for you guys. So anyone who wants to sign up and get this deal, they have to go through here. You will not get it on our site. You have to sign up through here. Go to the site. You can watch a quick tutorial on this, see a couple features, but we're going to give you guys that business plus plan that's normally $129 for $40 a month.
So awesome.
$40. So all you do is go to the site. You're going to click on you're ready for clarity, sign up now. And right here, select plan. When you select this, you do have the option, I believe, to pay for the year at an even bigger discount. I think we give I don't know. I forgot what we give off.
You don't know your numbers? What in the world?
Well, we don't do discounts for you.
I love it.
So you can go to that site and you can get all the clarity now. We're a month-to-month contract, so give us a shot. And what I would probably suggest, if you guys choose to, is take advantage of our concierge service and we'll upload your data for you.
Yes.
Or do it yourself, but just think about the hourly rate of you doing it versus us doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was 149, I think.
I think it's 149. Yeah. Autumn is our customer success manager. People love her.
She's great.
Thank you. Yeah, she is great. So she'll onboard everybody, make sure everyone's happy. She does a daily support call every single day. And we just hopefully that you guys sign up and use it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much. I'm thankful that the community gets a discount. So you guys, like, that's huge. I know some of you guys are coming on right now, like Carrie Ann. I would totally watch this. And you can give access to your coaches so that they have clarity around the numbers, which I think is really awesome. But Jeremy, thank you so much. I mean, one, thank you for creating the product, because I do think, like, a lot of us have just been looking for this. One of the things that I didn't mention, and yes, I have another question here. So one of the things that I want Jeremy to do too, and I'm trying to, like, push, we do recommend Brivity and things like that a lot. And so, Jeremy has the ability though to connect to other systems. And so those conversations, we're trying to open up those conversations, obviously.
On that piece really quick. So we're not trying to be a CRM. Which I think is important. Some of our competitors, they try to do more than maybe what they should. We just want to be the absolute best at business planning, financials, and agent insights. So we want to go as deep into that as possible. We're not trying to be a CRM. Every CRM has some form of tracking in there. We're just going to be way better than that. So if you want, the most data possible, the profit and loss, the goal gap, the business plan based on net, your CRM is not going to do that. We are doing an integration with Follow Up Boss now. Another one that we will be doing that we're really excited about is an integration with Open to Close.
Hey,
so then people can go from typing in the transaction to processing the transaction. And we're working on some other CRMs as well.
Yeah, so we have a lot of people. So there's a lot of people in Brevity, there's a lot of people in Command, there's a lot of people in a lot of things, but
Yep.
there's a lot of people that have taken advantage of open to close, which connects to Follow Up Boss, which connects to Clarity Now, which connects to Dot Loop and DocuSign. So like everything feels seamless in one system, which is really cool too. So, if you're looking to switch systems, all of these things can talk and kind of meet with each other and give you clarity. So
We play nice together. It's fun to have other friends that want to integrate. So yeah, that the open to close integration should probably be, I would say, probably Q2.
cool. That's awesome. And we love them too. So, okay, awesome. I think we don't have any more questions. Let me see behind the scenes here. It's so funny when people message me behind. Um, I appreciate everybody that has asked questions. I felt like those were really good interjections to give. So I feel like we had a really great comprehensive look at this awesome program. You're getting a big discount by going through Ciprani. So thank you again for allowing that and for bringing so much clarity to this community, because I think a lot of people need it. And so my hope is that we're going to start educating more people around this so that people can run a business and not just this rinky team that thinks they know what their numbers are. And then, the rainmaker walks away going, oh my God, where did all my money go?
Yeah, and let me know how I can help too. Whatever you guys need, this community is super important to us. We're a startup like every company starts. So the more that we can give and provide value, whether you guys sign up or not, I want to help. So let me know what I can do.
Love it. Thank you. You're the
Thank you
best.
so much. Pleasure to see you.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.